We are Legion.
What is up, comic fam, and welcome to the Legion of Comics. It's Sunday night, and it's 9 p.m. real time. So that means this is at week's end, the spoiler field look back at this week in comics and so much more. Isn't that right, babe?
Sure.
My wife just said, "What are you doing?" I said, "It's Sunday night. I'm about to do at week's end." She goes, "Oh, I'm normally in bed. I have no clue what you do this time of night."
I thought your show was Friday.
She said she thought we do this on Fridays. We've never done this on Friday. Oh my God, I love her. It's like the one night that the kids aren't here on a Sunday night, so she's splurging. She's staying up past 8:30. This is great. But anyways, I'm glad that everybody can be here, and I'm joined as always by my partner in crime, the big Texan himself, the new guy. What's happening, brother?
What is up? It's nice to have a slow day for once in 5 days.
Yeah, we were just talking about that slightly before before you hopped on here, and we're gonna say hey to the chat. And I do want to talk about what you've been up to because there's some stuff that you should definitely share with the community because you've been posting here and there about it. I know you've been busy, so you haven't been blasting it on your channel. You haven't been able to do a lot of content, so you definitely need to get the word out there. But let's let some people filter in real quick. Let's say hey to some folks, and then I do want to dive right into that right off the bat. So first off, we have Mr. Paul Cook himself from Sector 2815. Hello. That's a channel that I'm absolutely loving. This guy's DC knowledge is through the roof. He does this awesome weekly video stuff, man, where he does the comic book news. And he's who I found out about Nice House taking that extended break after issue 6 from watching his videos where he's staying like that far forward on stuff. It's fantastic. Carlito, what is going on? Becker, glad you can make it. Mars, hello. I saw the pictures on Chip Getler's Instagram where y'all were at the LCS and he was holding up your Thor's hammer and everything. Yeah, that was fantastic. I was super jealous. Then speak of the devil, and the devil shall appear in the form of a goddess known as Chip Getler. What is It's a good night. Nick, what is happening, man? You are Legion. You are 9.5% Legion. Glad you can make it. Thank you for stopping in. And we got Digger Jim up in here in real time. That's what I'm talking about. E-Man is up in the building. How are you doing tonight? So as y'all see that Comic Vet is not here. He's going to be running a little late tonight, but he will be here. I was excited to talk about it. Yeah, he's on Canadian time. That's the problem. It's so cold up there, the clocks tick slower. But
Yeah.
Instead of being on Romanian time, like our good friend Romanian Rob from Rob's Fat Sack of Comics, glad you can hop in. And it jumped on me. Becker, what's up? Thank you so much. Yeah, I got nominated for one of the comic community awards, so that was super crazy. That was really cool. So those you can go vote, and there's all kinds of great content creators that got nominated. Louie's on there. DJ Lynx is in there. Actual Dracula. You got Chamorro Cinemas, TM Nerdy. You got Big Herm. There's a lot of good people that got nominations. Friday is the pre-show for Sunday. Yeah, that's a good point. Glad you mentioned that, Chip. Normally, Kyle, Friday in the afternoons, I would hop on with Ryan on his channel for pre-weeks in, but Ryan's been super busy, which we're going to be talking about some of that here when we get through this. Free Energy, what is up? Oh, gosh, I don't have a mouse.
That's a cool name.
It is. What's going on, Paul? I was just showing Ryan a sneak preview of the video for tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss it, Paul. This one is for you. Ignacio, what is up, brother? Glad you could hop on in. That was a pun about his comic because he's the creator of Killer Roo.
Yeah.
What is going on, Awesome LeMay? Glad you can make it. Nice House is going to make a mid-season break. It's going to take I think, if Paul's still out there, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's like a 5-month break or something. It's something excessive after issue 6.
Which is a little disappointing since it's like 10 issues or so, or 12 issues.
12 issues. Yeah. Well, I guess it could also be like maybe depending on how that he's formatted this 12-issue story. If he bookends it at 6, that would be fine. If there's like some kind of time jump or something that happens or whatever, that's perfectly fine with me. We live work with 5. I'm ready for
Yeah.
the second season, so it really
Yeah, it's not in opposition to short stories. I love them, but I do hope there's some kind of like conclusiveness to it, or else it's just gonna feel really frustrating if it's just like stops going for a while.
Yeah, that would be. It's going to be a bummer because I've been super hype on that series. Ruben, what is going on? Oh, I had the wrong person. I'm sorry. Sorry, Miss So and Mars. But the hammer was cool nonetheless.
Right?
It's Morpin time. Did you see that where the Art fan variant that Steve customized for Tyler, he signed it and did the little rainbow signature, drew a little helmet on it, and wrote "It's more pin time" and forgot the H. Yeah, I was dying laughing. What is going on, Panda? It was Warlord. Glad you could make it. Romanian Rob, yeah. Passport 1. What is going on? Yeah, no problem, man. Absolutely, whenever. If anyone's has any questions about anything, I can be very helpful up until a very small level. Like I'm as basic as it comes, but it's 100% operational. Yeah. All right, I think we're seeing a bunch of people. Correct. There it is. Issue 6 has a major cliffhanger coming back March 2022. God dang. So issue 6, that's going to be like what, November? We're on 3 right now.
Mm-hmm.
December. So that's not too long of a break. It's like 3 months. So he's the visual creator. Call yourself the visual creator. That sounds better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how much that's DC just trying to drag out having this content from this big name with that break. It was good. It was really good. I interviewed the Miranda, and they are working to go. We did too. The day that him and I read the final issue, we reached out and talked to him, and we had him on within a week. And they gave us some great information, and not just that. If you go back and watch our interview with them, and then head straight on over to the C-List Villains podcast and watch theirs, they pair together really well because they were able to they did theirs around the same time we did ours, and they watched ours and we watched theirs, and so they didn't tread over the same stuff. And there's awesome little pairing of interviews right there. They're fantastic people.
Yeah, they told us at the time they have 3 arcs that they have planned, that they kind of know what those 3 arcs are. Then they told us they had a one-shot that I'm pretty sure that's what we got in the free comic book day. And they talked about they kind of have an idea for another one-shot in between seasons 2 and 3. So they definitely have a lot of ideas for that universe, and I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Oh, yeah. What is going on, LCS? And there's the man behind the contest himself who put it all together and everything. Mr. Brian, very awesome of you, dude. That's huge something you did to the community there. It's got a lot of people paying more attention and coming together like butt cheeks. So I think I'm going to go watch Titans and try to go to bed early tonight. I did 10 hours on 3 streams straight last night until 6 a.m. I think you can do another hour at least. What's going on, Tyler? All right, so we made it to the bottom of the chat here. Ryan, so you've been busy. Life's been taking you all different directions, but here recently you've taken off on writing short micro stories and all kinds of stuff. And you also started up this little well, you talk about it. You tell everyone what you've been up to.
Yeah, I mean, life has been very busy since, mid-July, and hopefully it slows down, but honestly, probably at least another week of that. But it's been cool because I've, kind of refocused myself on things that I really love to do, like writing. There's something about that form of communication that just appeals to me a lot. And so, especially whenever you're out on the road and stuff, because I've been having to run around and go places and stuff. It's a lot easier to write than it is to sit down and film a video sometimes. So yeah, I just thought like where I'm at right now, like I work in sales, right? Insurance sales. So I'm constantly calling people and trying to get them to buy life insurance and convince them that paying for death is more important than living. So it's one of those things. It can get quite dour, you know. And there was a moment there where it was a really strong business because everybody around people were, you know, passing away with everything that's going on right now. But you know, as that dwindles and stuff, and I look at where I'm at and what I'm doing, I'm like, I want to do other things. Like I want to move on, and I've picked up a lot of skills working in sales and working from home and being like an independent operator and stuff. You know, so I want to look for opportunities to apply those skills and do something I enjoy more. And so that's kind of what I've been looking at is like I want to get paid to write. And what that means is like anything, you know, like I just love to write, even if I'm restricted to like writing about this or writing about that, you know, like for some reason, writing is therapeutic to me. Putting words on a page or typing words or whatever else, however else I put them down, like it makes me feel better, you know, it makes me think in a different way. And so I really do that. And it's also the one thing I have confidence in. Like I never really talk about my job in sales because I don't feel confident in my ability to sell something. Sales is never something I wanted to do. Somewhere I ended up, but the one thing in life I have always been confident about is my writing and story and stuff like that. And so, you know, one thing I looked at was like, if I want to get paid to write, I need to write. Like you can't be a writer if you're not writing. Nobody's going to pay you to do something you're not doing. Yeah.
That's a good start.
And so I was like, well, let me write these. I'm going to do these short stories. That'll give me a reason to write every day, to make sure that I'm doing something every day to move that goalpost forward a little bit, you know? And so that's where a lot of these micro stories have come from is like, if I can sit down and do this every morning, then that proves I have repetition and passion. And like, I'm not, you know, just doing this because it's a novelty for me. So that's where all the like stories have come from. I've been looking at like these contests and these different publications where you can openly submit stuff. And so I've been writing a lot of short stories for that. Mad Cave is doing their talent search right now. And they're looking for 4 writers and 4 artists. And so I actually have a comic script mostly finished up right now because it's due September 1st. So I got to get that turned in. And that's based on one of their properties. And so I'm like trying to do that because they're specifically looking for diverse stories from creators that haven't been published by established publishers, you know? And so I'm like, well, that's me. I've never been published. That sounds perfect. So I did my reading on Wolvenheart, and I have a 8-page story that I'm putting together, and I think I have a pretty good angle on that. So I'm excited to get that submitted and see if that gets any traction within their competition. And then, you know, I've always, like I said, I've always been interested in writing and stuff. So I've always been kind of familiar with copy and everything. And then I found this guy. His name is Neville Medora, and he's basically a copywriter, but, you know, entrepreneur, freelancer. He's been doing it since like the 90s and stuff. And for some reason, all of the stuff I've read, all the videos I've watched, all the podcasts I've listened to, like this guy gets me, you know, like he really made it all make sense and put it together for me. And so I was looking, I was like, you know what, like everything he's talking about are the skills that I have that I've gained from like my jobs and stuff, things like working independently and time management and project management and stuff like that. And so I was like, you know what, that's what I'm going to do. So I've been taking his advice, and today I kind of like got everything put together and put it out there to the public and stuff. But yeah, I can write copy. I know how to write things. I've been in sales for like 5 years now. I know how to sell things. I know the psychology behind that. And
so tell everybody what you put out today and where they can find it. Like help spread the word.
Yeah. So I put out a post. I put it out on like Instagram, Twitter, everything. You can find it there. I have a full page that really like lays out what the business itself is. But essentially, if you own a business, and especially in the modern world, writing is a way to captivate an audience and convert people for your business. And so you can take things like those emails, right? You go to a website and they're like, hey, give us your email and we'll send you this thing. And then you start getting these emails one after another and stuff. Those are extremely effective at bringing people into wanting to purchase from your business. And the way that stuff is written, there's a very scientific approach to it, but it has a lot of creativity to it. And so that's what I want to do to make money, because that's a good way to get paid for writing. And so that would also free up some of my time and keep me in practice for the things I also want to do. So if anybody has a business, or they know a business owner that needs to sell more product or generate more leads for their business, or if they want to captivate an audience, then I am available to do that. I will happily write for whatever they need done. So there's a page on Facebook called Get New Copy, NUE. So still sticking with my branding there. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on
You ever thought for a
Facebook.
second that if you're going to be trying to convince people that you can write for them, you should probably spell words correctly?
I thought about it, but I thought that would be the intrigue as well.
Like,
You got to have a good headline,
this
right?
Joker dyslexic.
Yep. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I want to move away from my sales job so that I can do something involving writing, so that'll free up some more of my time and give it back to me, so I can write more creative things as well. That way I can write more comic scripts, because that takes time as well.
Pretty cool. And you've been putting out a bunch of micro stories, and you've been entering those in contests, and one of them got accepted into one of them, right?
Yeah. Well, I put out 3 short stories that went into competition. 2 of them I didn't win. One of them it's still up for judging, but it was fun and I enjoyed it, and I felt confident in what I submitted. And I don't think it was a lack of quality or creativity on my part. I think I was just up against strong competition. And there's a lot of things in life where strong competition keeps me away or drives me away. Not this. I was like, okay, well, that's cool. Like, I read their stories too, and I thought they were really good. And if they won, that's fine. But I'm just going to come back that much harder next time. So that's why I like writing. I have the confidence to do that.
That is pretty cool. I don't have the nerves for it, like how you're talking about, like that. I would be like, what would I even write? But I'm also not a writer, so I'm a reader and a dog groomer.
There you go. Hey, we need readers to make the content worth it. So
yeah. If you need your dog haircut, I can do that. I'm good for very few things, but those things I'm really good at.
There you go.
I agree. That's a really good attitude. I want to go back and go back to this comment. Yeah. The E-Man said that those interviews were like a 1-2 punch, and he said, "Fantastic job, Mark." It was all Ryan. Like Ryan, if you check out his channel, like he interviews content creators all the time, and I talked to him about this beforehand, because like reaching out to people, like we were both a little reluctant to do it, but after we read that book, we just like screw it. And I said something to him, and he messaged him. He wrote it. He drafted it up. Like we were talking. He was like, "I hope it sounds okay," and blah blah blah. And I even talked to him about his interview style, and that's when he said he really doesn't interview people. He has conversations with them, because people are there to hear them talk, not him. So he comes up with maybe 3 questions that'll just have sitting off to the side in case it hits dead air. He can just jump it back and get them going again. So that's all we really did. And if you go back and watch it, you'll just see me having like pretty much fanboy moments every now and then. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much exactly it. Like I try to go in, I prepare like 3 questions, and that way if we run into dead air, I have a question in my back pocket to kind of get things back up and going. But for the most part, I just let people talk. Mm-hmm. If you ask the right question, they'll have a lot to say.
That's true. I've got some metal covers behind me. I wonder which ones they are. I'm not buying nothing right now. I would love to, but got plans. Got some plans for what I want to buy. So Ryan, I know that you didn't get to read too much because you're busy writing stuff and life happening and birthday parties and traveling and all kinds of good stuff and making the best of stuff and whatever. But check it out. I'm going to show you what I picked up this week.
Awesome. I'm excited.
So there's a second print of We Live number 4. Batman and Superman had its what is the second to last in the finale? Like
Penultimate?
Yeah, it's pretty much the penultimate issue because the annual that comes out after this will be the final wrap up, and I think that's it for this series, unfortunately. But this Atoro IO series has been fantastic.
Yes.
And then Detective Comics picked that one up.
Nice.
Mr. Miracle, sticking with that. We're on 4 of 6, so only 2 more issues.
Oh, that's a cool cover.
Yeah, it really is. The color hold to it.
Yeah, I don't remember what the second cover looked like, but the first one with all that green and stuff was really cool, and that one with the marquee looks really cool.
Yeah, they've done really well that series. Superman, Son of Kal-El, issue number 2. Fire.
Oh, no doubt. I really want to read that.
And my read of the week, and this is just, oh my god, oh my god, this was so great. Like they didn't really get into the story and everything yet. They didn't get rolling on that. It was just setting people in the setting and the universe and getting the tone laid out, and they knocked it out the park, dude. I was about in tears just from the first panel in the book. But Action Comics issue 1034 continues to deliver, getting more hard hitting and epic.
It's such a slow build, but it's like so well done.
Batman Reptilian issue number 3, another amazing read. This is just hauntingly good. So that's all that I have on me because I had to pick up some shifts at work this week. I let my assistant have an extra day off, which meant I did not have Friday off, as a lot of people know that I didn't have the community hangout. They did it over on Rumi's channel where I was able to pop in every now and then while I was at work and stuff. But I don't have my King Spawn yet. I don't have my whatever else came out. Department of Truth. There's a few more. I'm just going to have to pick them up Tuesday and read them then. But yeah, what did you think of Batman Reptilian, Tyler? I absolutely loved it. But those, I don't know what else I read. I read more stuff in this. Superman versus Lobo, I read that. I wasn't too thrilled with it. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't my cup of tea. Wasn't really feeling it.
I didn't hear anything about that book until like the day before it came out, and then Sarah Beatty was on Twitter talking about it, and I was like, oh, that's kind of crazy that she wrote a Superman Lobo book. That might actually be kind of interesting.
Who was it?
I imagine it's like very over the top and ridiculous.
It's really immature.
Yeah, that's her brand.
Yeah, it was a cartoony R-rated romp.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to put it. Now, I'm looking forward to reading King Spawn, though. I caught back up with Spawn some months ago. You know, that's always that title that, like, I think a lot of people, especially our ages, should always love Spawn, whether it's something that you pick up regularly or read regularly. You always love Spawn because he's got, like, this great place in your memory, you know, in your nostalgia. But I started
all of us except for Steve.
Yeah. Yeah. But I got caught back up on it. I think after I think it was like 300, right around there, because Alex Ross did one of the covers for issue 300, and I picked that up. But it's been really fun. It's definitely different from the normal comics you read because Todd McFarlane, it feels like he's writing almost in like a Silver Age style with excessive narration and stuff. But the art's still fantastic. The overall story content's fun. I'm really excited to see where they're going with it. So that's going to be one that we'll probably dabble on next week a little bit. Or if Chris gets in here, I'll let him spoil it. But I don't have the ability to spoil it.
Yeah, isn't King Spawn the first since that like Spawn's universe or whatever?
Yeah, this is no. We've had an issue. We've had.
Well, I mean, regular Spawn, but like all the extended stuff. This is the first of that, right?
Oh yeah, I definitely have it on my pool list. Also, I'm good on the pool list aspect of it. I just wasn't able to get to my LCS to pick up my copy of it, unfortunately. Let's see, there's a couple I didn't get. I was going to try to pick up the Spiderman Life Story Annual that Zdarsky did. Something is Killing the Children. I read that one digital. Okay, Department of Truth and King Spawn. Those are the ones that I still have waiting on me. And dude, for the life of me, I can't remember what else. I have to get better at remembering this digital versus paper thing that I do. because I'm trying to balance out a little bit because there's so much more that I want to read than I care to actually physically collect and own and find space for. So I read it, and I read it like on Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning. Then by now I forgot, unless someone mentions it. But yeah, I definitely have it sitting at the shop waiting on me, but just haven't had a chance to read it. Tyler said it was cool. He's definitely going to keep reading. But yeah, this is the first one that's coming out of the split. So this is the first ongoing Spawn title since the original. There's been plenty of miniseries and spin-off stuff. Like Sam and Twitch had their own book for a while, but this is supposed to be like an ongoing moving forward. And then you have the Scorched, which is like the team of Spawns, and you're supposed to get a Gunslinger Spawn standalone. And I could be wrong on this, but I thought Medieval Spawn was supposed to be getting his own book, which I'm super in for that. Like I would like to get my hands on that because he just came back from the dead and they haven't really explained yet how he came back. But he popped up and saved regular Spawn. Look,
Yes. Yeah. So am I.
Absolutely. So speaking on that, let's go ahead. I'm gonna do a little light spoiling for you here, Ryan. Because
Go ahead.
You got to read books more than once anyway, so me telling you about it ain't going to really take away from nothing.
No.
But Action Comics 1034, this was a fantastic read. So it picks up right where it left off with Lois holding a gun to some of Mongol's kind of big groups that came into the Fortress of Solitude to come for the refugees. So apparently this refugee, she didn't just show up there trying to get saved. She's there with an agenda sent by Mongol to basically infiltrate and destroy the Superman family. And he knew that she wouldn't really do it, so he'd already sent the secondary team of brutes in to go and not only finish the job, but kill her. So it was pretty cool because Lois had a gun to him and everything, and he pretty much knocks it out of her hand, and they're kind of helpless. And he walks over to the other refugees that still haven't recovered enough to wake up. So he grabs their bodies unconscious and holds them up with the girls just begging for him not to do it. He just splatters their heads together and throws them down, and it was wicked. It was really wicked. All the while this is happening, Superman's nowhere to be seen. He's over in the ocean trying to stop a war from happening with the government in Atlantis over that piece of source. And he's sitting there telling them to stop. And then he did something that he never does. He intervened. He went down on his own, all the way down to the bottom of the ocean, straight to where the source is. Arthur was waiting, said, "Don't do this. You know, if you do this, it changes everything." Next panel, you see him flying up with it. And Kara, Jonathan, like, "Dude, what are you doing?" Which is pretty cool because it plays on the events in Son of Kal-El where he's sitting on the moon with Jonathan, and Jonathan's looking at all the injustices in the world, asking him why he doesn't do more. And he's like, "Dude, I can only do so much. This isn't my planet. It's their planet." But it was a great issue, and Lois is fine. It all worked out. The refugee girl, when she saw her compadres' heads explode, she snapped and fired up some super heat vision and melted everyone in the room except Lois. So I'm looking forward to the next issue. Midnighter's been the backup story. That was awesome. You just have it's a crazy story. It really is. But you have Midnighter and Mr. Miracle just run through the Trojan facility, killing everyone. Mr. Miracle the whole time, like, we should bail. This dude's crazy, but they made it to the end, and Midnighter talking to the guy that he's trying to kill the whole time in his head, but from the future, like it's such a quirky but amazing story. And that was the penultimate as well, because it looks like format-wise, all these backup stories are about to be switching up or coming to a stop because they're all leaving the backup stories to have a final issue in its own standalone book. So Midnighter will have an annual. A full-size annual coming next week where this story wraps up. And I saw that coming down the road, Justice League Dark is about to have its own self-contained annual outside of Justice League. So hopefully that story will keep going, though, or branch off into its own or something. But I am happy to see Midnighter wrapping up because it is getting so crazy with time loops and it's wild.
Yeah. I think my last couple of reviews of Midnighter is like, "Hey, this book is awesome, but I have no clue what is going on half the time." Like,
it's such a basic plot. He's stuck in that time loop from future set, and he's trying to get out. He figures the only way to get out is go kill Trojan. So the whole time he's just been trying to kill Trojan, but there's just the artwork is just so rough around the edges and just it's all over the place. It's wild. I think it's deliberately meant just to be a little. It makes it more tense. It's a little gritty.
Yeah. Does
Someone
this
tell
tie
me
into
you wear a hat. Well, Steve, send me one of those magical blue hats you have, and I'll wear it.
isn't it wasn't it the Superman annual where they went to where it was like a continuation of that future state House of L stuff,
What's up,
and they
Bart?
found the mother box with in the Phantom Zone, and
Yeah.
it was Mr. Miracle up against the wall like dead.
I don't remember seeing Mr. Miracle. It's been a while since I read that. I just remember Hank Henshaw being in there. But I know what you're talking about, where they found the mother box.
I was pretty sure it was Mr. Miracle, like up against, like he was hanging from the wall, like dead and stuff. I was just wondering if that was the same Mr. Miracle that they have
if
now.
It was Shiloh, or if it was Scott.
Yeah,
Scott's like the OG Mr. Miracle, and Shiloh's this one. We found out that you find out, and well, that's a good segue. So in Mr. Miracle's Source of Freedom, like a couple issues ago, Shiloh figured out that his mentor was not the original Mr. Miracle. Like they figured out that he's not necessarily he is in this world, but in this world there's no Scott free. In this world things are different. Oberon over here, who's been like the little sidekick to the Mr. Miracles over the years, tells him that the Mr. Miracle that he thought was just his mentor was actually his grandfather, and that him when he was a baby. So his grandfather was Mr. Miracle, and he got so kind of accustomed to being Mr. Miracle and so happy with it and fine with how things are that he would just leave his stuff laying around, including a mother box. So baby Shiloh crawled up to the mother box as his parents tried to stop him. He hit it and he teleported them to nobody knows where. So they've been missing, presumed dead his entire life. So his mentor is really his grandfather that didn't want him to know all the details. So we find that out. And I found out a lot of stuff. It was really cool. That's why there's no Scott free in here. It's just this isn't necessarily the main Earth. So
interesting.
Very, very interesting. But it's been a good read. I've been enjoying it. That first issue was really on the nose and a little repetitive, like we talked about. They really wasted a lot of space.
Yeah.
That was just this is a brand new Mr. Miracle that they spent no time explaining or telling you about him in those small appearances in Future State. So they just try to lay it on thick in that first one, so you kind of are in the right mindset moving forward, I guess. But it's worked. It's worked well. I've enjoyed it. Man, I'm so behind. I haven't picked up my books in a week because of work. Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier, Flo. I've only got my DC books picked up. I haven't been able to get back like I normally would do on a Friday. But I am excited for getting back. It's been a Superman heavy week, man. Batman, Superman. We've got Action Comics, Son of Kal-El, Superman 78. It's been a fantastic week for me. Speaking of Superman 78, oh my God, I absolutely love this. So I've watched the Christopher Reeve movies 1,000 times. He is absolutely my Superman. There is no other Superman. The rest do a fantastic job. I think I mentioned this last Thursday. Acknowledging that he's the best Superman does not diminish the other performances. It just means that you're not delusional. That's all.
Yeah, I kind of talked about it with Batman 89, but like for me, the animated series was definitely like my sweet spot. I enjoyed Batman 89, but I really didn't watch it very religiously. The flip side of that is, though, I loved Superman 1 and the animated series, Superman the animated series. That one never really held my attention that much. It wasn't bad. It was just I would rather watch the movie, versus Batman that was the opposite for me. So I was really excited for this Superman 78.
Dude, it's fantastic. So the first panel is just that shot of Krypton that you see from the movie. And it's Jor-El's exact dialogue, like when he's saying bye to his kid. It's just amazing. It was awesome. So they pretty much kind of just throw a little nod in there when Krypton explodes. You see the debris fly through space. You see it hit the front of a ship that's out in space, which it's Brainiac's ship. It doesn't show the full ship, just a little bit of the panel of it. So they're kind of then they just set the scene. You get to see him at work. You get to see him just doing Superman stuff, and then one of Brainiac's drones shows up and he goes to fight it. It's a lot stronger than he expects, and it's sending messages back to the mothership to say there's a Kryptonian here, which sparks Brainiac's attention, and he's heading that way. So I'm definitely excited to see how it plays out. I don't expect it to be anything crazy or original or whatever. It's going to be a basic Brainiac story just in this universe. You're just
Yeah.
enjoying it for what it is. They're not going to rewrite the history of Brainiac or him be something brand new to this. It's just how would it have played out in this universe if they were bringing familiar comics to screen? So they're going to bring familiar comics to a comic because you can't bring it to screen. So I'm excited for that.
So does this one specifically branch off from Superman 1, or do they take into account the second movie?
I'm assuming they're going to do what they did with Batman 89 and just stick with that first movie, because with Batman 89, they already, from that comic book, everything after that first movie is no.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that that's what they do. There's really, because
It's kind of weird though. Like, why are they ignoring the sequels? Because both of those had 2 strong movies.
Well, there's the second. All right, so Richard Donner filmed Superman 1 and 2 in one go, but what came out in theaters for Superman 2 was not the original cut of Superman 2. It was Richard Lester's cut. So I don't think they would really want to try to dabble with that. It might get confusing. How are you going to reference the Lester cut? Are you going to reference the Donner cut? They're just telling you.
We all know the Donner cut's the only real cut.
It's the only cut. Yeah, it's the only cut. Superman throwing a big net off of his chest.
But even so, I mean, Batman Returns was pretty popular. I was surprised they didn't go from Returns and move forward and ignore the other 2 instead of like just jumping off from the first one. That one seemed a little weirder than sticking with just Superman 1.
Yeah, well, what they have to call it, Batman 89 and 93?
I don't know. To me, I took Batman 89 to be more symbolic of the universe that it
Just
takes
Michael
place.
Keaton himself.
Yeah. I think Tim Burton's more the establishing element there.
Well, he produced. I think he helped produce the third one too. So, where are you going to draw the line?
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that. Yeah.
Of course, Batman, or I guess Bruce Wayne, didn't look anything like Michael Keaton, anyways. So,
dude, talking about people looking like people, they nailed it in here, dude. They nailed it.
Oh yeah.
This is so on.
That's Lex Luthor on the cover for sure.
For sure. I got to show you something. Have you seen the inside of this book yet?
Nuh-uh.
Dude, some of these shots, man, it's like that is him.
Oh yeah.
That is
Nailed
him.
it.
Yeah, dude, just look at that.
That artwork looks a lot better than what they did for Batman 89.
Yeah. Well, you can say that, but then every now and then there's a panel like that one.
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah, I just don't really think there was any. I don't know. Maybe it was just like my expectations, but there was nothing about the artwork in Batman 89 that I really thought stood out to me.
Look at that. You can, like, that's something Christopher Reeve does. Like, just that little lean over to look. Look at that.
Heck
That's
yeah.
insane. Like, they even drew his mannerisms right. But the dialogue with him and Perry and everything, and Jimmy, it was just all so spot on. It's ridiculous. But I had a blast reading it. I'm so stoked for the next one. I'm also stoked for my. I did order the Big Time Collectibles exclusive for this book. I was not going to pass that up, obviously, but I'm excited for that to come in. I'm really excited to show it off and just to get to play with it. Put it up there next to the Batman ones or something. Yeah, I'm just really excited for it. Batman Reptilian continues to be really fun. If you're into like the whole Batman's a detective thing, this is like probably the biggest Batman as the detective story that's out right now. Like with Tom Taylor's Batman the Detective not far behind it, but he's actually solving a mystery. We know as much as he does, which isn't a lot. We're exploring it with him. We get an awesome beginning with him and Alfred in the cave, looking at the computers, like eliminating some of the variables, looking at who's dead, who remains, and then wanting to go after the Joker to see if we can get some answers there, or wondering if this might be Killer Croc that's mutated beyond, or why these people, why this creature that's killing everyone is focusing only on these villains that were in this meeting together, and how they found this hormone in all of them that's attracting him. But as all this is going on, a call goes out that the Joker is taking a bunch of people hostage at the museum, or the botanical garden, I mean. So he goes there to go stop that, and he uses that inside man from the first issue who he scared the hell out of on the rooftops to help him out, and knocks out some of the guards. And Joker's playing cat and mouse with him, and it kind of reminded me of that movie The Relic that took place in the museum with the big monster. But Joker's like talking to him from afar over and yelling. He's like, "Oh, you think you can sneak up on me, Batman? I hear you coming. I hear you panting." And Batman just replies, "That's not me." About that time, Joker gets yoked up, and next time you see him, he's on a stretcher, bandages from head to toe, and the hunt continues. But the artwork is just absolutely gorgeous. Liam Sharp is knocking it out of the park. I love the fact that they're dragging out the reveal of this creature, and that we get to be on the same journey that Batman's on with it. It just makes it very enjoyable.
Awesome. Yeah, I really like the. I mean, one, that cold open in that first issue was straight fire. It was so good. And then I really like the detective mystery elements that were in that first issue. The rest of that book was kind of up and down for me, and so I haven't read the second one, but I thought like they really delivered on the mystery element of it really well. So that's really cool to hear.
They're keeping it going. So this is Garth Ennis writing it, the same guy who did Preacher. And I don't think he does too much these days. If he does, I don't really necessarily hear about it. I mean, his name is definitely well established, well known. He's a legend in the comic book industry, but I don't know how much he's actually like just pumping out content or material.
No, I think he's more of a back end kind of guy these days. I think he like kind of mentors people and helps them, helps like editing and developing stories and stuff like that. But I don't think he's doing a lot of his own like writing and publishing.
Yeah. Detective Comics, that one dropped. It was kind of like the showdown. The last issue, he got infected by Vile, so it was just him getting uninfected and almost killing Mr. Worth, but not killing Mr. Worth. It just continues to be consistent. Nothing mind-blowing or anything like that. The backup story has been that Road to Task Force Z, the upcoming series that Jason Todd's going to be leading a team of dead people, like Bane included. So, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I have too much. Like, I'm behind on reading, so these titles that come out, like that sounds like it'd be fun, but it's not a must read. I don't know if I'm going to catch it or not. But yeah, I'm excited to see where Detective's going to go from here, because that wrapped up and Fear State's about to start. We're about to get that Fear State Alpha next week. And it's really the end of an era with Tynan's run on Batman, thank God. And we're going to be getting Joshua Williamson taking over the main Batman title. And dude, if it wasn't going to be Tom Taylor, this is like the perfect second choice. Like, hopefully it's the perfect first choice, because I think Williamson writes consistent comic books. It's not trying to be more than it is, and it's exactly what it's supposed to be. And I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
Batman has gone, for me, severely downhill from Tynan taking over. He was being way too ambitious in taking everything that was established, nostalgic, noticed, like anything that makes Batman Batman, he was taking it away from him. And there's a difference. And I had this conversation in a comment section, I think last night. There's a difference between growth and change. Change doesn't equal growth with a character all the time. Like, the perfect example is turning a street level murderous villain and arch enemy of Spider-Man into a cosmic handicapped deity dysfunctional father. That's not really growth. You just changed him and ran a hype train around it. And that's what I feel like has happened to Batman. There's just been excessive amount of change with an excessive amount of hollow hype training. But I'm excited to see where Williamson's going to go. I don't think that Tynan's run was like absolute garbage or anything. He's just starting too many stories that now obviously are never going to get flushed out. That's exactly what you had mentioned before, that you don't see how he could possibly take all these rabbit trails that he went down and actually flush them out. And now he's leaving. So they won't be.
Yeah, I think within the realm of an infinite ongoing, like, yeah, there's a way to put all that stuff together, but it's just one of those things, like, you have to do story arcs, like, it all has to coalesce somewhere, and he just, like, was never really driving that point home. I think Tynan is a great writer, and I just don't know if his style works for ongoing titles. Like, I don't know any ongoing titles that he's really been successful with. He does really strong with these miniseries and with these, like, well-developed arcs.
I mean, you have
and something is killing the children. The longer that's going on,
his run successful. I agree, but you have to call his run successful in sales numbers, if nothing else.
Oh yeah,
I know there's a whole group of people I talk to that they praise it and they think it's great and everything, but I haven't heard like an actual reason they think it's great. And I'm not saying that jokingly. In all sincerity, they just like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I mean that's the thing.
editing. If you mean by the editor saying no, you can't do that, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think he's the kind of person like he needs to know the end before he starts writing. And whenever you're doing an ongoing, like there always has to be an open ending somewhere along the way. And I think that really hurts him because he doesn't quite know how to get to a good point with that,
Yeah, and Joker has been really good. That first story arc finished, like an actual story arc finished. And we haven't had a single story arc since post Future State with Batman yet. So this is, and we're hitting Fear State. So that's a very good point. I'm wondering what he's going to do with the second story arc of Joker, because he's going to get like 2 solid story arcs and he'll be dipping out. What is going on, TM Nerdy? How are you doing today?
What's up?
What's up, Cap?
I saw his name on that list too.
Yeah, he had a nomination as well, I believe. Yeah, Tynan's run on Detective I enjoyed a lot more. I've trade read all that stuff at the beginning of Rebirth. I think
I've never read his run on Detective, but I've heard good things about that.
I think he just tried to do too much, man. It's like it's that newsletter that you read where he kind of explained his mindset behind introducing all these new characters. It was just
well, and I was gonna say, like with Detective, from reading his newsletter, I do know, like with Detective, he always felt, like I guess like immature or unready. Like he felt like he got thrust into Detective probably a little bit early, and so he was like a lot less ambitious. And I think that's what's hurt his Batman run is like if he did have infinite time, like maybe if he didn't do the Substack thing and he did sign that contract, and the plan there was that he was going to be on Batman for another 3 years for sure. So in that sense, like it makes sense to develop all this stuff that's like kind of never ending, because he can just keep kicking the can down the road until he gets there in 3 years. Yeah. But I think, not that Substack ruined his Batman story. I think it just messed up his timeline for what he was doing. And that does kind of ruin the Batman story he was working on, because at some point it might have started to really develop into something to be caught up in.
I'm so not.
I think it ruined the soap opera-ness of it all.
Yeah. And look, when I put the display up with all those 1 in 25 variants, as soon as my wife saw Punchline, she's like, I hope Harley kills her. As soon as she saw Miracle Molly, and the only way I can describe Miracle Molly to her, and most people won't even get this reference, but the Double Dragon movie from the 90s with Alyssa Milano, I think, that played like the leader of the teenage underground gang that spray paints everything and wears weird clothes. That's her. That's Miracle Molly. That's Melissa Milano from Double Dragon in the 90s. That's what you get with her.
I love Double Dragon the game. I never watched the movie.
Oh wow, it's on Tubi for free, I think. But my wife's like, yeah, that makes sense. She should die too. I'm like, yeah, it does. Yeah. We've actually answered this question for you before, Brandon, like every time you pop in a chat.
We both went with Marvin the Martian.
Yeah, we both told you it was Marvin the Martian, buddy. Who's your favorite comic book character, Brandon? Curveball. I'm going to guess Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. They've been in comics.
Yeah. Didn't Tom King write some amazing Looney Tunes character?
I think that they did the DC crossover stuff. I don't know if there's a lot of DC crossover stuff. Like there was a Batman Elmer Fudd crossover where it was like taken like it was realistic, and like Bugs Bunny was just like a bartender with buck teeth and stuff. He didn't look like an actual bunny, but Elmer Fudd was trying to get at and kill Batman over this dame. It was real noirish. It was awesome. They did like a Jabberjaw with Aquaman and stuff. Some cool stuff out there. Boom, there we go. Froghorn and Leghorn, 75th anniversary. I say. That was such a great cartoon, man. That was such a great cartoon.
Right.
Yeah, next up, Superman, Son of Kal-El. You get Finn Connors, a potential alternate identity for Jonathan that doesn't last one day on the college campus because a gunman shows up and he intercepts by putting himself between the bullets and the students and just tears up his identity. And then he goes on to have a conversation with his dad on the moon, where it gets into what I was talking about, how he's you're kind of see the teen angst in him, and you see the vast difference in how somebody his age at the college level kind of views the world and what's important to them, and how much of their energy goes into these topics versus someone who's older with more years or from a different time that kind of puts their importance elsewhere, because you see him using like some very familiar language, like talking about how stupid the borders are and this and that, and asking his dad why he doesn't do more. And that's where he has that awesome moment where he explains to Jonathan that it's never really been his world. He's just happy to be here and he doesn't want to overstep, but he kind of puts it on Jonathan that he can do more because he was born here. This is his world. So he kind of is shifting the burden a little bit now. So now we saw him through Philip Kennedy Johnson's run kind of realize that Jonathan isn't a kid anymore. He kind of had that moment of acceptance where he realized that he can depend on Jonathan to be okay without him. And now he's taking it a step farther. Now that he knows he's okay and he doesn't need dad, he's handing responsibility over to him and kind of trying to motivate him toward it to see what kind of man he's going to be with the S on his chest. And then he takes it a step farther and gives him an upgraded suit, one that he's been holding on to for a long time from him. The cape's even stitched by his mom. You're just like, oh my God. Oh my God, my feels. But so he goes from having the suit like kind of like the Legion of superhero suit with kind of all the different textures and stuff on it to a more streamlined suit, just blue and with the shoulders on it, not all like little different shades of blue design,
like patches and stuff.
Yeah, dude. Which I thought his suit was great, but there's this new one is just more streamlined. Let's see if I can find a picture of it for you. Yes, here we go. Bop, 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 boom. Look at that. Yeah, it's crisp, man. Crisp.
Yeah, looks a little more Clark.
Now the S, the S went from being more futuristic as well. How it was like more zigzaggy S.
Yeah.
To being OG classic S, and I can get on board with that. Which I liked his S just fine, but I'm not going to complain about him putting on his dad's shield. Not going to do it. Thought that was amazing.
It was always a weird logo to me because it's like it looks like a slash across their chest.
Yeah.
Less of an S and more of just like a slash through the shield.
Well, my favorite Superman S has always been the Kingdom Come one since the day I saw it. And that's just a single line, and I don't know why. I absolutely love it. I would be wearing my shirt, but I had a shirt, and it's just so bombed out and depleted, dude. But yeah, I've got a lot of Superman shirts. Batman, Superman. This is getting to the end of the end. So they actually talk the Demon into being on board with them, and things go south for Atora.io, and they kind of clean up the slate. And so I don't know what they're going to do with the finale, because this kind of wrapped up the story a little bit. I know you're reading this one, and probably not very many other people are, so I'm not going to get into finer details. But things get better, things get worse, things get better. Another issue.
The guy that writes that, man, so good.
I think it's Gene Lung Yang, I think.
Yeah, I can always just remember Yang.
Yeah. So when Jonathan was in his disguise, he had this blonde wig on. So in the whole time through the issue as well, he's kind of watching like it's almost like it's social media stuff on his phone. It's almost like a truther network kind of thing, like an anonymous kind of thing. You know what I mean? How Anonymous puts out that stuff or whatever. And he actually ends up running into the guy on a rooftop. And the guy's like, he kind of like, it's like, here's your wig, Jonathan. Like, I had it from school. He's like, oh, wow, how'd you know where to find me? Whatever. But it was almost like they, because you saw that news we talked about last week with the potential of DC writing him to be gay, to be coming out as gay. It was almost like you could read into it like there was almost like a flirty moment. He's like, yeah, the wig wasn't doing anything for you, buddy. But so we'll see what they do with that. Jumped in at the end of Batman Tynan's conversation. Bring Tom King back, going through his run and love it. You're not going to get any arguments from either of us. I'm definitely a Tom
I
King
mean, I've
fan.
never read any of it, but I'd be fine with him coming back. Why not?
Batman Catwoman is one of my favorite reads I pick up. Strange Adventures is one up there on the top. That his Rorschach run. I can't wait for his Human Target book to start up here soon. His Mr. Miracle run was epic. He's a great writer. I wouldn't, and I've said this before, I wouldn't want every one of my comic books written with his style and his depth that he goes into it, but I would hate if none of them were like that. Like it's a perfect counterbalance to just those throwaway reads, those quick burns.
Mhm.
And his Supergirl series has been fantastic. I really enjoy his writing a lot.
Yeah. I like that, he doesn't over explain anything. He lets you interpret, he lets you kind of like absorb and soak in all of this stuff that he throws at you, and he doesn't really explain it all. And I think that's what people hate about him so much, but I'm really not a fan of closed endings. So for me, like, his style works.
I have to send this message real quick.
Cool. If you are wondering about any Substack stuff, I will tell you, Tynan talked about his first Substack book, which is starting, I think, next month. And that one, it's $7 a month, $75 a year. You get these books like every 2 weeks or whatever. His first book is called Blue Book, and it's basically a nonfiction. It's a nonfiction comic book, and they're taking like stories of UFO encounters and stuff, like from the horse's mouth. People's reports of seeing UFOs and stuff, and they're presenting those in comic book format in 10-page chapters. So you'll get like 20 pages a month, basically, in 2 different settings. And I think that's like really cool, really interesting. I'm excited to see how it works out, but I haven't bought into it. I'm not planning to buy into it, unless like people are just like, oh my God, it's so good. But I don't know if like a nonfiction comic book is exactly where I'm at. So I don't know about that. On the other hand, Scott Snyder, I am bought in on his Substack classes and all that. And he had the first, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not everything has to be explained. But yeah, Scott Snyder, we had the first class this past week, Wednesday night. And it was a blast, man. Like, it was some pretty basic stuff, but it was cool. He took the script from Court of Owls, his, well-revered Batman story. He took the actual script of that and showed us like all the drafts and really broke it down, what he was thinking, how he was putting things together, how he was writing this story, the state of mind he was in when he was writing it, and like kind of what was going on in his life that he was putting into it. He broke down 3-act structure, and I've studied a lot of 3-act structure stuff, and this was another time where he kind of like hit on something that was just like this light bulb moment where I was like, oh wow, like I've never heard it explained that way, but it makes a lot more sense now. And then he kept teasing a special guest for the evening, and so at the end he dropped Greg Capullo in.
Oh wow!
They had some awesome like back and forth talking about how the writer and the artist communicate.
This was on Substack?
Yeah.
You're going to make me go to Substack?
Yeah, it was a really cool thing. Like, I've never really, I've never heard Greg Capullo talk, but like the way he talked about stuff, it was just really cool to hear his take on taking a writer's script and turning it into visuals,
That's like sitting in at a panel at a con. At that, the last, they were doing the Court of Owls story. Like they were balls deep in Court of Owls. Like the mystery hadn't even been bust open yet. And when I was at Heroes Con one year, sitting on a panel with them, and it was something. It was really fun. Yeah,
it was really cool. And Greg Capullo even talked a little bit about like some other stuff he's worked on, how like different writers and him like have a process working together. He was talking about he came from Spawn, he's like, yeah, Todd would call me up, and he'd be like, okay, so this is going to be the story, and like, there's a scene where Sam and Twitch are going to be talking about this thing, it doesn't matter where they're at. You can put them in a car or outside or whatever. It don't matter what they're at, but where they're at, that's what they're going to be talking about, like just like real loose with it, And so he's like, I would just write down notes, and then I would, script out a bunch of pages or draw out a bunch of pages and send them to him and stuff, And then he comes over here to Scott Snyder, who wrote like a 40-page script for the first 20-page issue of Batman. He sent it to me. I was like, oh my God. And then like they were talking about like at the time, like he was using Word to write a script, and he would put images in there. And apparently when he sent that file over to Greg Capullo, none of the images got sent, like all the reference images and stuff. And then he would get the pages back, and he'd be like, man, like he really went a different direction with this, but I kind of like it. He said it was years later before Greg finally told him that he wasn't like none of the images would load in the document. And so
he's like, what images? Dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so it was really good. It was really insightful. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's worth the $7 a month. So it was a blast.
Yeah. I'm not even capable of this. It requires editing, but if you did a how to use Substack video, that would be very helpful to the community, and it would probably get you a lot of traffic on your channel as well. Because plenty of people, as soon as they talked about Substack, like, what is Substack? And then if you watch half those videos, they don't know what it is either, because in their video, you watch their video and you leave it still wondering what is Substack. But if you actually do kind of like how Steve did a how to submit the CGC video, where you actually see his screen and you watch him go through the process. He does it quick, straight to the point, and stays targeted. This is how you do it, which is absolutely 100% helpful. And there's a lot of those out there. But if someone did that for Substack, that would be ridiculously helpful in the community right now. Again, I'm not capable of doing it. I don't Substack. I could use that video. So if you could just make that video for me, a visual person.
Yeah.
He flows feels like
yeah, it was crazy like how many people like whenever they announced the Substack news, I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Substack's getting in the game. And then more of the news was like people like, what is Substack? Where did this come from? What is this? And I was like, oh, I didn't realize. Like I've been reading Tynan's newsletter on Substack for, I don't know, probably a year and a half or so. Like he's been there. It's just now they gave him money to be there. So
what's funny about you saying that is like you've referenced his newsletter. We talk about topics of his newsletter a lot. Like we referenced one tonight with him putting out the thing about where he got the idea for just injecting all these new characters into a story like that to draw. But whatever, you never once mentioned before it's on this platform called Substack and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, I mean that's probably where people are getting confused. Like Substack is a platform, but it exists a lot more in your email than anything else. I'll make a video about it. I'll explain why it exists in your email, but there's also a platform.
You should definitely do that. How to you log in, you search people, and I'm being serious about this because like Discord, that's another one. If you're not like already something that you've been on for a while, it's ridiculously confusing for new eyes. Like the way it's laid out, how many different things drop down, and like, geez, I'm out. I'm out. I got kids to keep up with. I can't do this. So hopefully Substack is more user friendly. Discord is not, unless you spend enough time in it to get it to be that way.
Yeah, I'll do a video on Discord too. I don't even care. I'll explain that too.
Yeah, let's stick with Substack because that's where the content is. I need the Substack one. That one first.
Yeah, then I'll do button down before that explodes out of nowhere on y'all.
I don't even know what that is. I've never heard those two words said beside each other. I've heard the word button and down, but not button down.
Yep, button down. There's also Gumroad. So real quick, I was kind of waiting toward the end of the show to see if Chris would be able to make it in, but the Spider-Man trailer dropped, Titans episode 5 dropped, Stargirl episode 2, What If episode something. There's a lot of visual content to soak in this week. Let's see what it says. Dude, my homie streams and I'm in his Discord. I don't know how he manages it. He has like 30 subcategories. Jesus. Yeah, no way.
But yeah, there's a lot of visual content to soak in this week, and I know you're not caught up with most of these, but did you at least see the Spider-Man trailer?
Nah, man, I haven't even watched it.
Are you planning on it? I know you're not a trailer guy, but are you planning on watching it?
I really don't know. Like, honestly, this week I've just been so far removed from YouTube in general that I think I've seen one thumbnail for the trailer. Like, I saw the news in one of the Discord servers I'm in. When it dropped, people started going nuts. But, I mean, it's really one of those things that hasn't even come into my purview yet.
Yeah. It was fun. I mean, like, everyone's so hyped. I don't know. Like, I'm looking forward to it. I guess it might just be far enough away, and I hope that this will be the first time ever in movie history that someone's able to balance this many characters and villains just injected into one movie like this. And I do have the whole all the different Spider-Mans being there. I'm kind of wondering because Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2's in it. Green Goblin's in it. There was a half-second shot with a lightning bolt in it, so everyone said Electro's in it. But there's already buzz about Jamie Foxx coming back, Sandman, the Lizard. But it kind of dawned, Mega Red. But it kind of dawned on me because in the trailer at the end, Doc Ock, Alfred Molina, comes up over a bridge and says, "Hello, Peter," but he's looking at Tom Holland. So it makes me wonder. Yeah. It makes me wonder, is it going to be like a quantum leap kind of thing? Like, depending on what little multiverse he might be in or what Spider-Verse he's standing in, if he's in the body of that Peter Parker. Like, when Alfred Molina looks at Tom Holland, is he actually seeing Tobey Maguire? And that's how they do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering.
I mean, a lot of the speculation pre-trailer, again, I haven't seen it, so I don't know what it looks like on video there, but a lot of the speculation going into it was that it was going to be sort of maybe he just sees into a bunch of portals that basically he sees those Spider-Men and they wanted new footage instead of just showing a scene from the old movies or something, so.
Well, I don't know because you gotta watch the trailer. I mean, unless they just edited it to throw you off, you got Tom Holland turn on his Avengers Endgame Spider-Man suit when Doc Ock comes up at him, you know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
But that's what I was thinking with the Lizard, because the Lizard...
Maybe they edited it to mess with Tom Holland, because
Oh, my God. But I was also wondering, because when you see the Lizard, you have Tom Holland standing there, and he turns around, and in the shadow, you see this creature that everyone's calling the Lizard just a split second. You don't even get a clear picture at all, but it just hits something that you can't see it until he runs into it, and it's the orange energy, it's a Doctor Strange border. And that's what I was thinking, looking into the different portals, or movies like Beetlejuice, when they open a door and all of a sudden there's you see the sand desert with the worms, or then Shazam when they're opening all the doors to try to figure out how to get out of the Rock of Eternity. And I wonder if that's how they're going to one off some people, because there's just too much going on. And
yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
They really
there's so much more faith with Marvel being involved here, but at the same time, the Spider-Man movies and Sony have this really long track record of messing up the next movie by putting too many things into it all at once. So it's this weird balance of I trust Marvel to do something right with all of this, but I don't trust Sony to do anything right with it either. So I don't know what to expect at this point,
Yeah, well, I'm definitely looking forward to it. But I'll be honest with you, I'm super hyped about Shang-Chi, I guess, because it's just the closest one. And it feels completely, I'm sure there'll be ties and stuff, and there'll be little Easter eggs and stuff, but it feels like its own thing. And that's what really excites me the most. I don't have to go, I can just go watch Shang-Chi. And it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a bunch of martial arts, Abominations in there. That's what I'm most hyped about. I'm sure he just has one scene, and they're going to let somehow Shang-Chi's going to knock out Abomination, which is asinine, but it'll be fun to watch. And I've got my tickets already. My birthday's Wednesday, and I have to work. Well, I'll work on my birthday anyways. It's just another day. But so Friday at 1:00, we're going to go hit up and watch Shang-Chi, and just not get any spoilers or anything. Catch that early show, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I know so little. Yeah, I know so little about him that I don't feel like I want to bring any of my baggage in there, any of my expectations with me. I
Oh,
think it
I
was
mean,
a good experience.
I think that's the thing with Shang-Chi here is that, like, he's a character that, pretty much most people don't know anything about him. So it feels like for the first time in a long time, we're getting something new in the MCU.
Yeah.
And then again, like, I really enjoyed Ant-Man 1 and 2 when they felt really disconnected from the MCU. And it felt like you were getting these stories that were, like, much smaller in style, but the stakes for the characters were much bigger than what we were getting out of the MCU. And so I really hope that that's what Shang-Chi turns into, is like this movie that, one, can surprise us because we don't know anything about this character, but two, like, is kind of disconnected and different from everything else that the MCU is doing right now, because it's all just so connected that it gets really monotonous. I think people forget, like, it just gets old whenever every character is just always showing up and the stories become so predictable because they're all like 2 hours, and
It feels
what
like
can you do in 2 hours, but kind of the same thing,
turned into like a comic summer event with too many tie-ins. Like, okay, Loki, okay, Captain America's shield's missing again, okay. But yeah, different stuff. I'm excited for Eternals. I think out of everything coming, like the Marvel wise, those two things have got me the most excited. What If is definitely not doing it. Like this just like we mentioned it before when before it started, how I said them what ifing the existing movies is a stupid idea because there's limitless amount of possibilities with What If to begin with, and you're tying yourself down and putting yourself in a box with just using the movies instead of introducing. This is your chance to introduce an audience to so much more, and they're really not going that route. But this last one was kind of cool in the sense that they took Hank Pym and just let him kill everybody. It was what if the Avengers never came together, kind of thing, and you get to see all of them kind of dying from in specific scenes and movies that you would recognize, like Tony Stark in the donut hole in the second Iron Man, when Nick Fury and Natasha came and give him the shot in the neck to get the virus to go down. Well, that shot kills him flat dead right there on the floor. Hulk explodes in the scene where he's on the college campus in Incredible Hulk and he's fighting the army. Just everyone dies, but it turns out it was Hank Pym, old Hank Pym, who was mad about Hope dying and S.H.I.E.L.D. not keeping her safe, and he went and was getting his revenge. But it was really fun. They changed the format up. But then I hear a lot of people talking about how they think it was the weakest episode. I'm like, dude, that one clapped. It was violent. It was throwing off. There's a lot of homages to the actual movies, and if that's what they're doing, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I thought the first episode, I really liked the action of it, but overall, it was just kind of like, I don't know, it wasn't something I needed. The second episode I thought was pretty fun. I enjoyed seeing all the characters on different sides of things. So that one was pretty cool. I haven't seen the third one, but when we came back Thursday afternoon, my son, he had watched it and he was pretty excited about it. He was like the old man that taught Ant-Man how to do everything. He killed everybody. I was like, what?
It was cool.
So it's working for him, though. And I think it's a pretty interesting show in the sense it kind of reminds me of like the cartoon series that we grew up on, like in the early and mid 90s and all that, where like there were these connections, but like at the same time, like, each episode kind of stood on its own in a lot of ways.
And I guess that kind of makes sense too, because you remember how a couple of weeks ago Marvel put out that or somebody put out the article where they heard that Marvel had a Spider-Man story for What If, but they pulled back and decided not to do it because they felt the tone was too dark and it was too scary. So we're a bunch of adults, watching these shows, talking about them, but we're assuming that they're making them for us. They might be making them for your kids, and that's their target audience, the kids that haven't read into all these comics yet, that only have the movies. So maybe they're doing it right and it's just not for me.
Yeah, my son loves it. Like he keeps watching every episode over and over again. So he's enjoying them. I think, we as adults, like especially our generation, like we've gotten to this point where like everything feels like it's catered to us, and we've become like obsessed with all these like connections. And I don't think that What If is nearly as connected as like the MCU itself. The main connection there is that it's like kind of redoing the stuff from the actual MCU proper, but I don't know. It seems like a really good show for kids. Like he's 13 and he loves it because he just watches those episodes over and over again. And he watches the movies, but he doesn't rewatch them nearly as much because that's like 2 hours of your day every time you watch one. So I think he enjoys them because he can sit down and rewatch it for the 5th time, and like it's just a small chunk of his day.
I think this comment is golden. He said he didn't like the animation in this last story was solid. MCU Pym fell harder than comic book Pym, and that guy beat his wife. And what's so cool is like and I don't know, you remember the Ultimate Marvel line of comics from the early 2000s where they just did a completely separate universe. So in the Ultimate line, when Cap found out that Hank beat Jan, he went and found him like out of suit, just with the shield, and like this is when he would go like full like on Giant Man, like 60 feet tall Giant Man. And Captain America beat the hell out of Giant Man on his own, like just took him down in an alley. Like it was one of the coolest comic moments ever. Like it was, at least in that Ultimates run, it was so awesome just watching Cap do his thing.
Yeah. I was just talking about the Ultimate Marvel line the other day because they did Ultimate Spider-Man, the video game on GameCube. Man, I played the hell out of that game. It was so cool.
Dreamcast.
The first Spider-Man game where you had to actually have something to like connect your webs to. It was so cool.
I remember the Spider-Man 2 game. I played that one religiously, like with the open world format where you could just help people and stuff. My brother had a PS2. Like I think it was on PS2. I've got it for a PSP. Like I had a PSP when I was like in high school. Because I'd sit at work at the LCS and I'd have it and I'd play there and only play like Star Wars Battlefront where you could run around as Jedi and just chop up. And
the original Battlefront games were so good.
Yeah. But I went back and bought like a lot of games over the years from like Second and Charles for cheap, and I still have them. I rarely ever get to play it or even think to care to play it. But Spider-Man 2 is one that I'll get around and just web around on that. It's still really fun. Lucky for me, I've never gotten into modern video games, so that's literally the newest thing I have is a first PSP. Yeah, that first. Which one did the webs go straight up and seemingly swing from the clouds?
That was the first Spider-Man movie game.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you another thing.
That was like you would like run around on the rooftops, and it was just like all fog over the edge of the building because they didn't have streets or anything.
Yeah, the second one was on point. And then they started doing like Spider-Man games fairly like every year or two, like Friend or Foe. And there was one, God, I forget what it's called.
The Web of Venom.
Yes, that one. Where you just, something like that where you just.
Web of Shadows.
Web of Shadows, yeah. So you just put the button down and you could just pull the symbiote out and it would change your fight move and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like real like slower, but like more powerful and stuff. And you had different power sets. And then you could switch back to the other suit, and then you were like faster, but you took more damage. It was a really cool concept.
Yep. So you haven't caught up on Titans, which is phenomenal. Phenomenal.
I mean, caught up is an understatement.
Yeah,
I got to start it. I've never seen the first episode.
Oh, Stargirl episode 2 was fantastic. We get Johnny Thunder's Thunderbolt. We get Thunderbolt. Jim Gaffigan voices him, and it was hilarious.
Oh, really?
So I'm afraid that they might have just did a one-off on him. So he's in essence he's just a genie. You know what I mean? With like limitless wishes. But it was really cool, man. It was a blast. It really was. Then we find out that the villain's back in town and they try to confront him, and it does not go well for the team at all. But the team is growing, and Solomon Grundy's still lurking in the woods somewhere, and I'm really ready for them to bring him back out. But yeah, so what if Stargirl was great? Titan season 3 is just so good. I played one of the newer ones. I just got really into swinging around the city. It was legit. Still haven't checked out Stargirl on my list yet. Check it out. You can watch it for free if you're willing to put an app on your phone. It doesn't take up a lot of space. It's really basic. It's just the CW app. Super.
CWC?
Well, there's 2 apps. There's the CW app that you can watch the stuff like as it comes out, and they don't keep a large library on it. And they kept the whole library for Superman and Lois, but most of their other shows that are on there, you only have like a handful of episodes. But then with the CW Seed app, that's like full back catalog of stuff. So both of them are completely free. And like you can watch the entire series of Krypton on the CWC app, which is an awesome series. I wish Sci-Fi wouldn't have canned that one, but it was cool. But we're not going to keep everybody long tonight. It's already 10:22, and I'm on a long run at work right now. And tomorrow's a whole new day, and I want to be right for it. So I do appreciate everyone hopping in and hanging out tonight. Ryan, do you want to say anything, plug anything, promote anything?
I mean, I pretty much promoted everything at the top of the stream, but yeah, check out. I don't know. Check out my posts. Check out everything that I got going on. Keep an eye out. I post a micro story every day at 2:00. So if you're on Instagram, 2:00 or later, there's a new story going to be posted there. Twitter, pretty much everywhere. So check all that stuff out.
If someone doesn't want to go through all that effort of tracking you down at a specific time every day, y'all, he does have a Patreon where this stuff can go directly to you effortlessly, and you can read it at your leisure and not have to look for it.
Yes, that's also under. Let's see if I can point at anything. New Guy. Pretty much everywhere on the internet, you can find me at New Guy. So I'm on Patreon, New Guy, Instagram, New Guy, Twitter, New Guy, Facebook, New Guy, YouTube, Cosmic Campfire.
Curveball.
Right. LinkedIn is just under my name, Ryan.
Dude, that's what really got me following your stuff is when you're doing that Cosmic Campfire series. Like when you're sitting there kind of talking about the concept of developing a story and kind of dabbling in the story itself a little bit. And you would do like the fire crackling in the background. I miss that so much, man.
Man, that goes like way back, huh? See, so that's always been something that has been on my mind. I want to do another short story of Captain Quixotic, and then after that, I would like
still.
Yeah, after that, I want to pull up a lot of because I still have the document and the files and stuff from whenever I was doing the Cosmic Campfire story. So I want to pull that out and kind of like go through and edit and update it and put some more of that together too.
Yeah, because that story's completely unfinished.
Yeah.
It's in concept mode.
Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of things going on. Not a lot of videos lately, but hopefully I'll be back to that maybe the end of this week or starting next week.
Do what you
gotta do a Substack
doing.
video.
Yeah, just do what you enjoy doing. The rest will fall into place, man.
Exactly.
But if everybody's still listening, there's 12 people still in here. If you haven't already, be sure to go enter my 900 subscriber giveaway. There's a video that I posted last Wednesday. You can't miss it. It's got Batman and Robin on it. It says 900 subscriber giveaway. You can just go like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment, and you're entered. But if you decide to do a video yourself and post it, you get a entry into a secondary giveaway all on its own with way less people entered into it. And to do that, you just make a video and let me know where your fandom lies. Like, tell me what you're a fanboy or a fangirl of, something that you really enjoy, whether it's comics, toys, movies. It doesn't matter. It's your fandom. Use it when you want it. It's my money and I want it now. But yeah, so there's that. And then what's today? Sunday. Tomorrow I have an awesome video that I'm dropping. I'm really excited about it. I'm spotlighting my local comic shop in it a little bit. And be sure to check that out. Tuesday, not sure if I'm going to do anything or not, but Wednesday will be the live giveaway around 9 o'clock Eastern, #real time. And that's pretty much it for me, guys. So I appreciate everyone coming in. And as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.